Thank God.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. This is episode 46, recorded on September 7th, 2025. To get posted on podcast services on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, to the usual spots: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and then YouTube. If you're listening to us on an audio-only version, I'm looking at you people doing that. Feel free to come on over to YouTube. Check us out there. You can see full episodes, segments if you want. We try to stem out some interesting stuff. Like last week, there's an interesting clip about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. However you choose to enjoy us, thank you very, very much. I am one of your hosts, Grayson Maxwell. Joining me as I do every week are my co-hosts, Roger Stillion and the very sick Chris Boughan. How are we doing today, boys?
The disembodied voice of Christopher Boughan.
Appropriate enough for a Conjuring movie week where I get to be a ghost.
Start whispering our names randomly throughout the show.
I wish,
Grayson
man.
Rhyme.
I wish I could be. I would do anything to be haunted by a demon. I would do anything.
That's
By a
strange
demon?
that.
Like,
That's
buddy,
awful
you can get
specific.
haunted by way more stuff than just a demon. Like,
Well,
you went all the way to like the worst shit to go after you.
so I've been watching a lot of them this week. So I rewatched all the Conjuring stuff, and I watched the Woman in Black. With Daniel Radcliffe. That movie's pretty creepy too. And
I don't
it's
think
just
I've
like
ever seen that.
that's actually like that's a lot of really long. There's no jump scare. That's all like long form scares. Is like you're waiting for the hammer to drop, and then so it's such a good movie though. And a lot of other stuff. The Relic. You remember that thing? Remember The Relic? Tom Sizemore is the protagonist from The Relic. Sleepy Hollow,
I
of
don't
course.
remember that movie.
The Haunting with Liam Neeson, Owen Wilson when they're in the house. The remake of the very successful one in the '60s, I think. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of them. I have some thoughts.
Sleepy Hollow. I watched Sleepy Hollow when I was in high school.
Well, feel free to watch it again. It's still there.
I don't want to do that.
It's still good. It's still there. Johnny Depp looks like he's about 18 years old. Yeah, so that's been my movie journey this week. Rewatching all the Conjuring films and then some
A lot of
haunting
movies.
adjacent stuff.
A lot of movies. I said it's a lot of movies, sir.
It is, Well, I
A
got
lot
some
of
time in my
creepy
hands. So.
movies. A lot of
I like creepy movies. I think horror is become like I've known this for a while, but I like the art form of making a horror movie. And I watched. So I'm gonna just vent for 1 second here. So last week I watched, or 2 weeks ago, I rewatched a movie. It's called The Last Exorcism. I think it was from 2009. It was a found footage film where a preacher was him. He like kind of believed, kind of didn't in the demonic, but then like he started the movie off by saying, "I can't believe in God without believing in the demonic." So I'm gonna go check this out, do what I can to help. And then by the end of the movie, everyone's dead. So the last Exorcism Part 2, the same girl has just floated back into existence with she's come back into society. But it's not a found footage film. It's a movie shot in traditional ways. And the movie ends with the people trying to excise the demon out of her are like they're almost there. It's like 98% effective, 99% effective, done. Demon throws everyone out the house, and she's just driving down the street catching houses on fire. And then she just looks in the rearview mirror and smiles.
What movie is this?
This is The Last Exorcism Part 2. And I have such a problem with that because what are we left with? We're left with demons are stronger than God, and that Abalom in this girl is just going to be out wreaking havoc and no one can stop. I have a problem with that. And it's like when someone's like, "Isn't that cool? The devil wins." It's like I think you can't read and come up with story beats. That's what I think, Mr. Director. So
geez.
I have such a hard
fired.
time with it. Same with The Ring. I just watched The Ring, which we'll talk about later in another segment. But I have a really hard time with The Ring too because they go on this. And I know I talk about it a lot, and they go on this journey, and I think it's a very well made movie by Gore Verbinski, scored by Hans Zimmer, which is a great score, very creepy but emotional and like atmospheric score. And then when it's all said and done, she's laying in bed with her son. He wakes up, that creepy kid that the Sixth Sense Part 2 kid, and she's like, "It's okay, I freed her." He's like, he sits up in bed. He's like, "You're not supposed to do that. She's supposed to stay in the dark place. And then, of course, the movie carries on. It's like, what do you have to do to beat evil? I don't understand it sometimes. And I know, Chris, I'm going to ask a question you're going to have the same answer to later. Maybe I think there's a problem. There's a disconnect with how we view religion in this country and or the power of something beyond anything that we can sense with our earthly senses. But I want to address that later because we're talking about, of course, a very appropriate Conjuring film today. And where we have a character, a very religious character, that's killed off in a very holy place. I can't quite wrap my head around that. And I might need some, it's gonna be a discussion point. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. What's going on in your lives this week? I know, Chris, you're sick. What about you, Roger? What's going on?
I mean, I'm not sick. I also don't have strong opinions either way if the devil should win sometimes. So I don't know how to approach that. I don't know what else is going on in my life. It's first football Sunday, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's good times. Happiness. I'm almost back to peak power. Like I'm charging up to be my full self mid fall. It's great. It's great.
Nice.
The sports ball, yay! Go sports ball. Yay.
Are you in any fantasy leagues this year?
Of course
Raj?
I am. Yes, of course.
Do you bet money on that? Do you ever win like money on that or what?
Yeah, I'm in a money league, which is so this is I have an opinion on fantasy sports at this point, because fantasy sports is such a mainstream thing now. If you're not in a money league, I don't think it's worth it at this point because nobody really cares when it's not. Like there are no stakes, and I think being in a money league brings more gravity to it. So it was like, if you ever played, a few years back, I played in a fantasy league. By like the end of the year, a couple of guys were doing so bad they just stopped playing. You know what I mean? They just unloaded their teams and stuff, which is bullshit.
Yep.
But it's like, come on, man. All you have to do is for 5 minutes a week do this. And at least the money. Because here's the thing: if you don't want to be invested after a money league, you got more money than I do, I guess. So
I agree.
Just throwing it away. Just this is a way to take it a little bit more seriously and put your money where your mouth is legitimately. So
and people take that stuff super seriously too. The sports betting. Yeah.
I do not sports gamble though. I try not to gamble much at all. Mostly because I would absolutely become a degenerate gambler like immediately. So
I don't mean to laugh at anyone's misfortune. That is,
it's fine. You could laugh.
I was laughing at Roger. Laughing at Roger.
Yeah, it's fine.
What about you, Chris? How goes the sickness?
Oh, just a terrible illness has ran its course through my family, and I'm just the last bastion of defense as it attacks me.
I mean, but kids, if you have kids, it's just like they're just like constant cycle of sick because of school and germs.
Back to school season usually does this to people too.
They've gone back to school? I don't even know anymore. I don't even.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't even.
Weeks now.
I remember that like going back to school when I started going to school and like when I graduated high school, where like the weeks had pushed. You remember how like it was at sometime in August and then it became in like mid-September? Do you remember? Or am I just wrong about
it's
that?
back into August now. Because it's like there are still some schools that don't start school till after Labor Day, which I think is a wild idea.
But how long do they go in the summer? Like how far into May or June?
Some of them go into June. They're like the first week of June now, but most of them around here end August to the end of May ish. So
for some reason that doesn't seem like a full school year to me. But
basically Labor Day to Memorial Day is pretty much.
They may have shorter like Thanksgiving, Easter, and Christmas breaks to compensate
or
for
a
starting
spring
later.
break in the middle somewhere. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's how they can compensate for it, Grayson. I know what you mean, though. It does seem like it's not a full school year, but they just have less time off during the year, most likely. But they get a longer summer vacation, which kids are always okay with.
I don't know. The one thing I've never been able to understand is why does a school year start in the fall and end in the spring or summer? You know what I mean? Why doesn't it start January 1st?
Just and then go to the holidays with breaks in between. Yeah.
Right.
Or the third week of January, and then go till the middle of December. Yeah, that would make sense.
Or goes to Thanksgiving, and then you have that's your break. Thanksgiving all the way through mid-January. It's basically the same time length, right?
Almost, yeah. Give or take a week or two. But I've heard schools of thought on like because I know some people want to do year-round schooling, and as much as I didn't want to do that as a kid, I was far more productive as a student when I didn't have breaks. Just for myself, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but for myself, I
Yeah.
was a far better student when I didn't have breaks. Cause look, I remember a few times like studying for a test, and like teachers like, okay, after this 4-day weekend, we'll have a test first thing. Like, that's the worst thing ever, because you just forget everything. Why would you do that to your kids, your students?
Well,
But
the one point of thought that I have is like jobs don't run on a school cycle. You
correct,
know
they
what I
do not.
mean?
Yeah,
And they also don't run from like 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon either. Like school should be like 9 to 5 or something along that line, right? And I'm not saying that I want kids to have to work 9 to 5 jobs, but isn't legitimately the idea of school to make you a productive member of society, to get you into a job usually that will fall sometimes within those parameters,
of course it is. Yeah,
right? I,
yeah.
that's, I don't think that's a crazy idea. That's all.
I
Chris,
think
you
they
got
do it.
what do
I
you
think
think
they
of that?
do it because the bus. I think they do the different starting because of the bus systems, right? Like the older kids go first, and then the younger kids
Well,
last.
if school didn't start till 9, they don't have to be on a bus at 5 in the morning.
That's true.
True.
It's let's just be honest here, because like I remember like when I went to college, I used to have to get up at 6:30 in the morning to get to high school, right? In college, like I don't you don't have to take a class till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon if you don't want to.
Sometimes, yeah, you're right.
It's like what I mean, I understand not everybody goes the collegiate route now, and it's not the thing that you have to do, but my job doesn't start at 7 a.m. Sometimes it would or could, but I don't know.
I really loved my high school was 7:30 to 2:30. I really loved getting off at 2:30 because the whole day. I mean, well, I say that in retrospect, but like the large part of the day after lunch was available, and I always made sure I had 6-period lunch. So I only had 2 periods after lunch. So I just the day was like the first part of the day sucked, and the second part of the day was really easy, and I remember that being starting at 7:30 to 2:30. But I remember back then there was discussion that because there was a lot of kids that in the time that wasn't like summer or like warm, kids went to school, it was dark. Kids that like had swim or something after school, they left school, it was dark, and they talked
Yeah.
about how psychological damaging that can be.
Well,
And you guys
there's
know
no
park has very few windows.
yeah. Well,
So
there's nothing more damaging to your psyche than I mean, me and Chris used to work retail together,
Yep.
right? And Grayson, you worked retail with me. Like they're getting to work at like 8 in the morning, dark. Work until 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, dark.
dark. Yeah.
And like you watch the day pass out the front windows, and you're like, "This sucks, dude.
Mm-hmm.
This sucks."
That's being an adult, man. That's being an adult.
Doesn't have to be. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, this has been economic talk on a movie podcast. Let's say we start a movie podcast. Anything you guys want to
Yeah.
say before we jump into the show?
Trying to think any more economic statements I need to make.
No, we're good. All right,
Nothing right now. I'll just slip them in casually to the show like I always do,
as you should, as you should. All right.
because I am the domineering force of this show.
Oh my lord! Again, here we go with this. All right. Once again, folks, this is episode 46 of Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies with you. Let's start us off with the box office.
Ooh, we got
You
a big
might
box office today.
a decent one. You out there might be happy to know that there was a decent. It was $100 million weekend. However, due to one movie, number one, The Conjuring: Last Rites did a pretty monster number of 83 million for a worldwide of 187. 187. That's a bad number, but 187 for Conjuring: Last Rites, which is really good. Hamilton, number two, did a solid 10 million, so worldwide of 10 million. Number three, Weapons, still in the top five, 5.4 million for a worldwide, a very impressive 251. That's very good for Weapons. Happy for them. Freakier Friday, I'm less happy for 3.8 million. Number four, 142, although it's still making some money. Good for it. And a movie we talked about recently, Caught Stealing, is number five, 3.2 million for a worldwide. Are you guys ready for this worldwide?
18. No, I mean more than that in the first week.
22.2 after 2 weeks.
Ooh.
22.2. I know that's
Um,
That's low.
so I want to talk about the Conjuring number for just a second.
sure.
So I went back and checked all the Conjuring movies, the Annabelle movies, the Nun movies. This movie opened the highest opening of anything in that series by far. The closest thing to it was like $57 million, and I don't remember exactly what movie that was, but
Probably the Nun. I would assume the new.
no, no, it's not.
Really.
Probably Annabelle, one of the
I think it
Annabelles,
was the
maybe.
Annabelle one. But here's the thing: like, this is quite a step up in money. So, congrats to them.
Mm-hmm.
By because like, look, the highest one that had opened before was like 57. So, like, if this had done 60, I still would have thought it was very successful. This is $83 million. Like, awesome work on a lackluster week. It's
Mm-hmm.
good
Well,
for them.
if you'll know, the international was, if we were 83, so international was
Another 100.
another 100, 104 or something like that. So that's
Mhm.
really great for them. However, since in the duration of these movies, the first one was in 2013. From 2013 to now, there are so many more international markets open that weren't open
Sure.
in 2013. So that's a big deal too. So I just want to, there are more movies in more places. Always a good thing, especially when it comes to theatrical releases. The streamers are a whole different. That's a whole different kind of set of rules and how the game is played. But as far as theatrical goes, I like the fact that there's a ton more Asian places that have opened up, and a lot of more other markets that didn't have movies that we do now have them. So that could certainly add into that. But
One
Well,
one day
yeah, but
I'll do a deep dive into seeing how this performs in Japan, because the Japanese love their horror
they
mhm.
do.
on a level similar to us. So I would love to maybe compare those numbers sometime.
Well, I mean, I just still think it's worth worth remembering that 89 million. What is it? Domestic is still a
83,
huge
yeah.
83.
number.
No,
83. 83 is
huge
still a
number.
huge number. Yeah.
Huge number. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, this isn't a joke. Props to them. Like, come out and just kicked everything else in the nuts this week. Good for you. Good for you guys.
I mean, Wicked's the next thing that's really going to do some monster, and that might do a little over 100. I don't think it's going to do like, because what did the other one do, Roger? What you said, 113 for the
113.
first. I
So,
don't
like,
think it's
look,
going to do that much, but
it's going to
I
do
could be
more
wrong
than
though.
that. It's going
You
to do
think it'll do more?
150 plus.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have guessed that.
150.
That's a
That's
big number.
150, baby.
that's big.
That's
Six
it.
through six through 10, real
30%
quick.
increase.
The Roses, Fantastic Four: First Steps is number 7. The Bad Guys 2 is number 8. Number 9, Light of the World. Number 10, Superman still holding on with another $1 million made. That's at 614. So good for Superman. A note on the Rose. I know that the three of us on this show, that was one of the ones we were considering watching. That movie's hilarious. That
Is it?
movie, when Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch, when they go at it, insulting each other at an awkward family dinner, I was laughing so hard I missed some of the scene because the things they were saying to each other are so fucking inappropriate. I loved it. I could not stop laughing at that movie. Olivia
Cumberbatch
Colman,
being
so
Cumberbatch
good.
being inappropriate would probably be funny to see.
It Olivia Colman says some penis jokes that they are brutal and they are amazing. I loved it. I don't think the movie's great, but those two, when they go at it, insulting each other, it is really wonderful to watch
Hmm.
because it is hilarious. I'm sure that'll be on streaming shortly. So if you didn't see that theatrically, which I suggest you do always, I'm sure that'll be on streaming shortly though. So as a note, do you guys have any interest in that one, Roger and Chris?
Not
No,
really, but only because I mean, if for any reason it would be for Cumberbatch, but that one romantic comedies aren't really on my radar most of the time anyway. So
I have
just
nothing against it. Just not on my radar.
Fair. Okay. Let's talk about a trailer, one that actually just came out this week. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about 28 years later, the Bone Temple. I know, insert joke here. We get it. What are we thinking, guys? I know we kind of had a weird reaction to the ending of the first film in the trilogy, 28 years later. It just had a
Hey,
very different
hey,
vibe.
hey, we didn't have a weird reaction to the ending. The ending was weird,
Sure,
and we
sure,
and we
yeah,
reacted to that.
sure, fine.
We appropriately reacted to a weird ending of a movie. Yes.
That's very fair. And so we've seen the trailer, guys. What are we thinking? It looks to me like more of what we got, which is fine. However, here's my worry, and I'll say this now just so I'm timestamp saying it. I'm worried this is turning into The Walking Dead. That's what I'm worried about. Is the one thing I always liked about the 28 years film or 28 films is the 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 rage, the infection was still the biggest worry on the radar. But like now, I don't think that's the case. In that we're kind of going into Walking Dead territory, and I don't really know how I feel about that. But how do you guys feel?
I mean, it feels like just another 28 movie that spun off of the movie we just watched because it is. Um, Weirdly though, it kicks us right into the old Power Rangers have showed up. You know what I mean? And them just
Mhm.
going at them. Not that I expected it, but I didn't see any fully nude zombie trying to crush anyone. Which is something that we see a lot of in the
See,
previous film.
we see
Not
a
yet,
Jack.
Roger.
We see a
Not
Jack
yet.
zombie though. That guy was
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Well, I
And
mean, so was the one in the last movie, Zeus or whatever he called him, right?
Yeah.
his
So
dong was flopping.
his, hit you with that hammer, brother.
I'm
Um,
much like the other trailer though. It had it had a very famous speech in the back while we're seeing scenes play out. I do like that cohesion. I'm worried we're going in an odd direction, and I don't even know where I wanted it to go. I don't even now that I think about it, I'm not even sure where I wanted it to go. But the movie we got was kind of different than what I had in my mind we
I
were going
mean,
to get. So
well, okay. So you say odd direction, but it doesn't sound like and right before that you said it's going in the Walking Dead direction. That's not an odd direction. That's a that's a legitimate direction. I feel like a zombie movie can take because whether we like it or not, humans are pieces of crap, and that is usually what it ends up you know being an at least oppressive force in most of these kinds of films. So it's not an odd direction. I think it's an acceptable direction. I just
well, it
don't
just
know. I
takes the
just don't
horror element
know.
away. I think a little bit.
I mean, uh, a bunch of people that are murderous psychopaths can be a horror element. Take The Strangers 2, for example. It's
sure. So I
exactly
was about
that.
to say, I was going to say that. Yeah.
So I mean, I just think that you know, 28 days and 28 weeks. It's their fault that we have an expectation of the film and for it to deliver something different. Don't get me wrong, but like I don't know if it's fair to hold it up to this weird thing where it has to be different. I think that the movie will go in the route that they feel like they can take it. And I don't know, hopefully they write a good film. They could write a movie that sucks, that's
Sure.
absolutely like in their ballpark, but I don't think it's going to a place that I don't expect of a zombie slash, apocalyptic movie like this to go
Well,
to.
if you'll allow me, maybe I can rephrase. If I were someone on the like the Danny Boyle or Nia Acosta who's doing the second one, or who's the director? Alec Garland. Did he
Garland,
direct?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Alex Garland.
I just expect more. I expect uh, more sophistication out of Alex Garland when it comes to his writing, because of what we've got. I mean, I think he did marvelously, for example, with like Civil War is a movie like I don't know what I expected, but what we got was a damn good
Sure.
product. And everything he touches, I think, is even Annihilation, which I'm very vocal about not liking. I still think
Annihilation
does
rules. You're the
does
wrong
some
one on that aspect.
very sophisticated story beats that are very interesting to watch play out on screen. And I had hoped, because he did the first two 28 films were he wrote the first one, and I don't think he did the second one. Maybe the characters he got credited with, but I really those are like very thought provoking films. It's just I would hate to go in the direction, just to answer your question, Chris, of
Mhm.
the people are the bad guys. Like I would have, that'd be my first concern as someone walking into this as a writer or director. Like, okay, I want to avoid that because we've got 9 seasons of that on very popular show. Let's just
I think
avoid
it's
it.
more than that.
Yeah. I
Whole
mean, I,
show
I
going,
Yeah,
by
mean,
the way.
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
emulating the most successful zombie, franchise in history might not be a bad
You're
play
right.
either if you think of it that way.
You are
But I
Well,
don't know.
correct.
I don't know where else you would take the human story. Like, unfortunately, like, being pretty shitty to one another is literally
it's
in our nature.
kind of what we
So
do.
so it's
That's human
just
history, baby.
yeah, so it's a hard thing to expect there to be, a vastly different outcome than that. But I mean, I'll wrap up there with that just so we don't get hung up on it. But
Well,
I don't know. I think that the trailer looks interesting. I think the trailer looks good. 28 years later was a little bit different experience than I was expecting. Which is a combination of their fault, my fault kind of idea, right? But I think that the trailer looks good, and I'm still bought in and interested in where this thing goes. Up, weird ending aside. So the trailer definitely makes me want to see it at least. So there I am.
What about
So
you, Roger?
the one thing I'll say about it, and I'll be quick because it's a really simple statement, is after watching the last movie, that is a weird movie. If this movie ends up being a weird movie, I won't be surprised.
Well, hold on, hold on.
And it's not a knock against the movie.
Is
It's
it a
just
is it a weird movie or is it a weird ending? Like the movie I watched didn't feel like a weird movie. It felt like the ending was vastly weirder than the rest of the product.
I don't know because it's. I guess you could interpret that however you want to personally interpret it.
Yeah, yeah.
What you got, Grayson?
I was gonna say I agree with you because the weirdness to me is because the scale of what's happening is the first two films, when you watch them, you feel like it could be a very global thing and other countries are dealing with this. But then you watch, that's where the weirdness for me is like, what do you mean? Like America's just drinking Starbucks and watching their movies is normal? Like what? That's to me is like, I know that sounds kind of silly for me to get hung up on, but it kind of broke the world for me a little bit because the people in the UK are going through this awful chapter and people are being allowed to murder one another and worse to another. And the rest of the world is just going on as normal. That to me was a little odd, and that's where some of the weirdness comes in. I don't know, Roger, you think that's weird, but
I mean,
I find
I
that
don't. I
weird.
don't know if that's the weirdness that I mean. Here's the thing: with the last 28 years, with 28 years later, it's just a different vibe of a movie than what I had expected. And like Chris, you mentioned, that's not necessarily a them thing; it can be a me thing, which is a very fair statement. It's just if this movie ends up being like that, I will not be surprised at all because from the trailer, I don't see anything that would make it seem it's going to be significantly a step sideways from what we just watched.
Gotcha.
So I'll still watch it because, I didn't necessarily dislike the last movie. It's just a bit strange. That's all.
It's fair. I agree.
Yeah. If anybody watches that movie all the way through and was like, "Huh, that made total sense from start to finish,"
Call him bullcrap on
I
it.
would be, I would be incredibly amazed. So that's all.
All right,
That's
fair
fair.
Also, here's a skull of your mother. I hope you like it.
Here's a skull. Climb up to the top of the skulls and place it on top, please. Thanks.
Yep, I'm gonna need
yeah.
you to take care of that for me, son. Give me a little slap on the shoulder. Get up there. Get going.
Let's
Go on, sport.
Yes.
while he just tosses him the skull. What that he just pressure washed pretty much. Let's change a little bit. Let's do the movie recommendation. Change gears a little bit. So this week we're talking about the Conjuring last Rites. So I chose a movie adjacent to it, which is one of my favorite movies in the kind of same genre is The Ring.
No.
And
Ooh.
Nope.
What? What's no?
Nope. I don't want to talk about that movie.
Okay. I thought you said no. No. Okay, great. We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about The Ring for 2 seconds. The Ring is a movie that was very successful in its theatrical run. Roger, do you have the box office for that, if you don't mind, sir?
Oh, I can get it. Go ahead. I'll track it down.
And it came out in 2002 by Gore Verbinski, which is obviously his next big thing was Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was scored by Hans Zimmer. Naomi Watts, Martin Henderson are the two people, the mother and the father of Aiden, played by what's his name? I don't know his name. I gotta find his name. Give me 1 second on that. But they're trying to figure out because they've watched this videotape that kills you
Martin
7 days
Henderson.
after.
Oh, Aiden is David Dorfman.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay, that's David Dorfman. Okay. So there's this videotape that when you watch it, 7 days later you die, and they're trying to figure out the riddle before their son hits his 7-day mark because he watches it through a series of events in the film. And they're going on this journey, which takes them to an island and these incredibly disturbing sequences they've seen on the video that they keep seeing, so they know they're on the right track. And it's a movie that I think works on so many levels. It's creepy, it's emotional, it's methodic, it's all these different ick words. I think it works on so many levels. However, some of the magic comes in with the avenue of storytelling I think they chose to take was they have this journey that these people go on to find this mystery. And of course, they are making these connections as they go, and they're finding out what happened to this poor little girl. And I think when I saw it when I was in 2002, I was 16, I think, when I saw this, is when they include someone like Brian Cox, who I didn't expect to be in a movie like this. But I was young enough that, like, I guess my expectation hadn't been turned like that yet, and he has a great role in it as the man of the surrogate father of the child who survived and still getting images, and now that the story is brought back to his doorstep, can't deal with it, and then ends up killing himself with our characters in tow. So it's part of the story, but it's very unsettling as they kind of unravel this mystery that is Samara, that fell into that was in a well, and they're trying to figure out what's her deal. And I'll tell you, something that we talked about before we started recording is, or no, we maybe I brought it up with the Ring earlier, was
Mhm.
I think the Ring's got one of those moments that if you saw it in a movie theater, you wouldn't forget it, because everyone in the theater was also as unsettled as you were. And it's when in the end, so the film or the tape, when they watch it, it always cuts off at a certain point. When you see her hand come over the well and her hair come up a little bit, it cuts. Well, after they solve the riddle, and then one character is seeing the movie, is seeing the video after it cuts off, and he sees this girl come up out of the well and then walk towards the screen, and then you see water coming out, and then she comes out of the screen,
She
which I
steps out
think
of the fucking TV, dude, and it's
that
not
was
okay. It is
that
not
was
okay. No, no, no.
I was working in a movie theater at the time, and I
Shoot her
was,
in the face.
yeah, burn it with fire. Yes, thank you. And I love to watch people's reaction. I loved it, especially like the 9:30 or 10 p.m. showing. I love to go in there as a 16-year-old and watch people react to that. And it was the same thing. Everyone in their seats would like start jostling and like, ooh, like they do move with their arm, and it's just I'll never forget that ever. I might one day forget who I am or my brother is, but I will not forget that. And I don't think I've had too many of those, to be honest. I mean, can you think of other movie moments like that, Roger or Chris, that you've seen that you wouldn't forget because the first time you
Scary
saw it?
movie wise, or just
Or
movie
just
wise in general?
great moments like that that you didn't expect, but certainly left an indelible mark in your brain.
I'll give you one real quick. Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to step on you there.
Oh, you're good.
One of the ones from when we worked at the movie theater together was during Paranormal Activity,
Oh, right.
because that was another one that really caught fire. It was like more people in like the second weekend than the first, because it became like such a word of mouth thing. Is being there and like being near the theater and hearing like the entire theater like scream or like, oh, like make those kind of noises. Like that was, it was cool to hear that, like people being involved in that stuff. You know what I mean? Like
I remember
that was
that
pretty
because it was only the last like 4 minutes of that movie that actually had something kind of scary on screen. Do you remember that when
Yep.
he runs down the stairs, and then you hear footsteps come back up and his body flies in, hits the camera, and then like
Mhm.
that was it. I remember people like that was so scary. It's like, no, the last 30 seconds was so scary. And I remember, so they were they did something very clever with that movie, is they the credit sequence was done a little differently. So people really, they actually managed to make people think. I remember, because I was at Marquee at the time, is people really thought this was a real thing. And I was like, come on, guys, there's a producer here. Are you serious with this? Produced by and directed by, like, trust me, this is not real. They're just doing something clever to make it kind of more in the moment. But that okay, you're right. That's a good answer. I'd forgotten about. What about you, Chris? Any answer for that?
I mean, mine's gonna be a generic answer, but I mean, I'll never. It doesn't. It's not a scary movie moment, but I don't. I'll never forget when the Avengers Assemble was said
Oh, he
at
picks up
during
Oh
that
yeah,
Endgame.
Mjolnir
of
baby.
You
course.
know, that's just that'll be baked into my brain forever. You know, and anytime I'm on a social media site and I scroll past a video that's showing that part again, it's like I'll stop and watch it every time just because it
Yeah.
means something to me personally.
Of course,
Hell
that's a
yeah.
very good example. I mean,
That's a
yeah,
good example, man. Absolutely.
especially for people who
Uh,
had been really into comics and really into the lore their whole life, like to see that on screen for the first time and it done well. That's a big deal. That's a big
Mhm.
deal.
all right, let me give you guys some numbers for the Ring real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So the Ring's opening weekend, mind you, this was 2002,
Mm-hmm.
opened at 15 million. Okay, which is a solid number. The second weekend is actually higher. It
Yeah.
jumps to
Jesus.
18.1. The third weekend is lower than the second weekend, but still higher than the first at 15.5. So It was doing some work. And just because I looked it up because I'm weird like that is Paranormal Activity. Okay, so Paranormal Activity, they did this like this staggered release thing where it opened in like 10 theaters or something
Hmm.
and made a ton of money, and they rolled it for like the next 5 weekends. Okay, and the fifth weekend is October 16th of that year. Right, it went up in theaters all the way up to 2000 and made like in the first 2 weeks or first 3 weeks like $48 million. So
What wasn't the
all
budget? The budget for that was like $10,000 or something, wasn't it?
15,000.
Yeah, 15,000. I knew it was something super low like that.
Jeez.
Its worldwide total is $193 million.
That's a one and done success. Like you don't ever have to do like if you produce that and that was your money, like you've 50x'd your money. Like you're done. Like
Yeah,
you don't ever have to do anything
you're
else.
just walking away, man. Walk off.
Although they did several more, and they got a little more expensive as they. I think one of them ended up costing like I think it was like 10 million. The budget for one of them was.
Two was $3 million,
Yeah, one was 10 though. I
and
remember that.
it opened its opening weekend worldwide was $85 million. I mean,
Jeez.
good for it, dude.
Yeah, good for it.
Good for it.
But they kind
So
of fell off toward. I mean, there's like 7 or 8 of those
yeah,
movies
there's a
that
bunch, and yeah, whatever. But it's just funny.
it shows you like the effect that one successful low budget found footage movie can have on. I mean, Blair Witch, to say the least, is like that. That still is like that's the OG of the found footage horror film. Wouldn't that be considered the OG of those?
I
I
think
would
so.
say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's still paying dividends for that. Like that still is, I'm sure, insanely profitable on how whatever service that they have it on. Because I watch it every time I see it. I know other people probably do too.
Blair Witch, 1999,
Yeah, man, I remember that was a big deal for
budget
the
of
time.
$60,000. So, which I mean, like, look, if you compare that to Paranormal Activity, it's 4 times the budget, dude.
It didn't have
It's
nearly
a,
the return though either, did it?
I mean, worldwide it made $250 million.
I think it was actually that. That's a much creepier movie than Paranormal Activity is also because there's creepiness all the way through it instead of like the last 30 seconds. But yeah, yeah, that's a big deal. I remember watching opening weekend with my friends and my sister who had to kind of tamp us down because we were a little too uppity. But
Hmm.
It had 3 weekends in a row when it finally expanded of like 29, 25, 15, $8 million. Yeah, good for them.
good for them indeed. Do you guys have any more memories with The Ring? Chris, did you have any when you first saw The Ring? Did you have any memories of her coming out of the TV? Sorry, spoilers from 23 years ago.
I mean, I didn't like it. I found that was my first like horror film in theaters because I've never been a horror fan. But I went and saw that with a bunch of family members. No, I actually remember that different parts of that movie were scarier to me than when she crawled out of the TV at the end. I didn't like watching like the footage version of like the flashes of you get to see of her like
Mhm.
standing by the well or being dropped in the well.
Yeah.
I found that way creepier than her actually crawling out of the screen, like
The creepy
personally.
fly moving around.
Yeah, like
Oh, and then
I
she
didn't like that at
takes it
all.
off she takes it off of the screen when she's watching it. Like, yeah, that's clever stuff though. It does
Mhm.
have I think it's important it does have like a it comes from a Japanese ringu, which I've actually never seen the actual the origin of that, but I imagine it's because Japanese horror stuff is pretty out there also. So
Mhm.
Serious shit.
I was gonna say one more thing about that too is I think you're right, Chris. That's like those images are so just they get in your brain. You think about them for days.
Mhm.
And then, as
Oh
kind
yeah.
of bringing the story full circle, when Scary Movie 3, I think it was the third one, maybe the second, I don't remember, but one of the scary
Scary
movies.
movie.
Do you remember how
Hey,
they?
wildly successful franchise,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, true, true.
And so, do you remember they had the same thing with the tape and the images, and then but they were kind of presented in the same kind of creepy way with like the black and white footage and like the that kind of sound but like they made it fun. You remember like the spinning chair? Well, in the scary movie version, they had like a guy spinning, and then it showed him like throwing up on the floor next to it because he couldn't take this. I thought that stuff was pretty clever too, based on The Ring, which
Mhm.
was I don't know if you guys remember like the footage they used, but there was always whatever image they had, there was a funny aspect to it I thought was very clever as well.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
all right, let's move on. I guess the moral of that story is if you haven't watched The Ring in a while, check it out. It is on. I think it's on Max. Has that been renamed to HBO Max again, or is it still
Yeah,
Max?
yeah.
Yes,
It's
it
back.
has.
Yeah, it's back to HBO Max.
There's a lot of great stuff on HBO.
We're
So.
finally back to the beginning.
All right, let's talk about the Conjuring franchise before we get into Last Rites. And I think it's because this is the 10th movie in the franchise. I've recently given a watch of all of them in release order. None of this chronological order crap, which I don't like people do that. But so let's talk about it. So I want to give you guys two lists before we start, just to keep things in mind, and I can feel free to ask me, and I can reiterate one of them for you. So here's the Conjuring movies are in this release order: The Conjuring 2013, Annabelle 2014, Conjuring 2 2016, Annabelle Creation 2017, The Nun 2018, Annabelle Comes Home 2019. Also 2019 is The Curse of La Llorona, Roger's favorite, and
La Llorona.
The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, the third Conjuring film, 2021, The Nun 2, 2023, and The Conjuring Last Rites obviously takes place or released now. However, real quick, and this is one more list, so bear with me, just so putting things in reference. The time in which the story is set. So 1952 is The Nun, 1956 The Nun 2, 1958 Annabelle Creation, 1970 is Annabelle, 1971 is the first Conjuring. So we have 4 movies take place before the first movie of what the franchise is called. So and then 1972 is Annabelle Comes Home, 1973 The Curse of La Llorona, 1977 Conjuring 2, 1981 The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and then 1986 Year of Aliens, one of the best movies ever made, The Conjuring Last Rites. So I think it's important to keep some of that in context because, for example, we've seen now a couple actresses play their daughter Judy, and it matters where in the story that particular film was taking place. So you have to age her up or age her down comparatively, but that's one of the examples. And I think another important example, of course, is The Nun 2, and is one of my kind of question marks in this whole franchise because I think it's one of the worst movies, but also it doesn't. I kind of have to temper myself because, again, as I asked the question before, like, why is evil always stronger? And in the end of the first movie, The Nun, the Valek, the demon, who was vanquished in The Conjuring 2, The Conjuring Part 2, which was before it was. So we've already seen the end of that demon, and there's 2 movies prior, 3 movies she's in prior. So the how the nun ends in the first film is literally the protagonist spits Christ's blood in the nun's face. So if you ask me, like, that's KO to a demon. Like, that's okay, you're done. Christ's blood would just spit in your face. That's the one thing that cannot happen to you. You're out of the mix. But we have her, like, the Nun 2 then takes place after that. My problem with the Nun 2 is they still haven't explained the link between Lorraine Warren and I forget the girl's name from the 2 Nun films. Why they look similar? Why they're played by 2 different people from the Farmiga family? They still haven't explained that link. And do you think they can end the Conjuring franchise without explaining that link? That's my question to you guys.
I don't know. Does it? Here's the thing. I mean, everybody knows they're connected in some way. So I don't know if it matters if they have to close every loop because, like, obviously this current movie is very successful financially, but how many more Conjuring movies are they going to pop out? One every couple of years again? We're going to get back into that kind of rotation, because like the
But is
Annabelle
that
side is pretty much closed up, right? So
well?
unless they
It was
go
closed
another
up before
offshoot
though.
somewhere else, sure. Well, okay,
It was
but
closed up, and
unless
somehow they wrote in the story that they had a girl come over and open the cage, and the Annabelle was doing all kinds of hijinks. Like, I mean, there are ways to write in a way for Annabelle to have another movie, but I mean, if they keep making money, is it a bad thing to make one of these every 3 or 4 years and then put it out?
I mean, do you want my honest opinion?
Sure.
I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, obviously this movie made money, but when we talk about it in a few minutes, it's like this movie's not very good. And so, like, I think that's an issue because when it becomes a series where you're like, we need to make more money just because this one made more money, like that's when you should be killing off franchises, right? Like
I agree.
that's the end of that line. You know, you take your profit and you go a different direction. At least that's what I would do as a filmmaker.
There's only
But
one. There's only one franchise that has done that successfully, and it's not even a movie franchise. So I mean, like the idea that that's what they should do is nice, but they don't ever do that. That's not how it
no,
goes. It's it's one of the glories of how making money in the movie industry works. It's we're not gonna get that. This
watching my
thing.
childhood burn.
Yeah, like well, so like this thing's making money already. So it's already in a huge positive profit margin.
Do we know a
They're
budget for this?
Yes,
And what is the budget for this?
for this one, 40.
Oh, okay, okay.
they are
Wow.
gonna make another movie in this universe. They set that up with introducing the characters they do in this movie. So I mean they're ending Lorraine and I can't remember his name.
Ed.
Ed, yeah, they're ending Ed and Lorraine's story. There are plenty of ways that they could take this, next, and they probably will. I mean, they can tell plenty more prequel stuff. They have an entire garage, back room full of crap that they can tell stories on. You know what I mean? Like that's already kind of like written into quote unquote canon. And then they have two new characters that can take up the mantle, very capable actors, an actor and an actress to do so.
I'm sorry,
It's
55 million is the budget. Sorry about that.
okay.
Still, I mean, they're still way over. I mean,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in I think we will get another one. I think that they're just gonna end Lorraine's story. This thing made a ton of money. Horror is the easiest thing to take a gamble on and make a movie in because if it doesn't make money, the budgets are never too high. If it makes money, it's just a win in most cases. And with this recent success, I can't see them not making another one.
well, for what you say, Chris, is they do set us up with we now kind of are focused on Judy and her boyfriend, not well fiance now. No, they're married actually.
They're
Sorry,
married,
spoilers.
yep,
So let's just
with kids.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it's but they also gave us in the wedding sequence we got the family from The Conjuring. We got the family from The Conjuring 2. They were all
There's a couple
there.
of them in there, yep.
Yeah, so like it was kind of and we got and they brought the cop back who worked with them in the first Conjuring film, and the guy that they used, the tech guy from the first Conjuring film who came back in one or two of the others. They brought them. I feel like this feels final, but I don't think it will be. And for my selfish reasons, I hope it won't be because I think there's a lot of story left to be told. But it seemed because for instance when we were like 10 minutes into the movie and they were showing the clips of after Judy was born and like that like 3-minute montage of how happy they were together, that seemed to me like the ending of the movie. Like that seemed like it could have been an ending to a movie and I would have been fine with they're now happily ever after. But I mean we we played with the last one, The Devil Made Me Do It, Ed's heart attack. We know in reality Ed Warren does die from a heart attack complication, and we
Stroke.
know
It's a stroke complication.
stroke. Sorry, and we know that the husband of the daughter does take over the family business and takes more cases, and him and Judy so we know that in reality. What they're gonna do, I don't know. I imagine that the Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are probably nearing the end of wanting to play these characters, but who am I? I don't know. Maybe
Maybe.
I've never received a check for $5 million, so I don't know. It's just, I don't know. But what are your other thoughts on just the?
Well,
What about
I
some
have
of the other villains of the franchise, like the
well
nun and?
one thing I was going to say is why it might be the end is because they every one of these movies has been something that um they have talked about, like real cases that they have gone through and done. Maybe this is like the end of their cases. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't have any more, and that's why their story will end that way. And maybe that's why if it does continue, it's from Judy and what's his name, Terry.
No,
What's the new husband's name?
hold on.
Um,
I'll let you know. 1 second.
but yeah, so maybe it picks up from like their case files or something along that line, and like this is just the tie up the
Tony.
theirs. Tony. Okay, I knew it was a T. But yeah, to close up the Ed portion of this series, maybe. I don't know. Real quick, these 10 Conjuring movies have made $2.3 billion combined to this point.
Their budgets can't be.
Not counting this movie.
their budgets can't be more than 200 combined for the whole kit and caboodle. So that's
Well,
quite
I
a.
mean, well,
I don't know.
I mean,
It's up there, but
I
not
mean, even if you highball it at $100 million a movie in budget, that's still that's $1 billion.
20. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
and that's a very high number in budget. So yeah,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
yeah.
I know we watched all. I mean, I've seen all of them several times, and I know you guys probably have too. It's just it's a wild ride. As I was watching it recently, I could tell like their fascination. The Nun to me is I love the Nun as an idea, as a character in a movie. I mean, who doesn't love the angels and demons thing? Who doesn't
Oh,
love,
it's no Pope's exorcist.
sure with Russell Crowe is or Fat John Goodman is Chris calls him.
Or
Um,
just John Goodman. It doesn't have to. Oh, we have to insult John Goodman at this
it's
point.
Annabelle has been increasing. Annabelle has been very lucrative for them. The Nun, the character of Valek, has been a go-to villain that prints them money. Now, where I think it's weird is because it's obvious that the Curse of La Llorona they wanted because the next movie after that was Annabelle Comes Home, or like chronologically the next movie after that Annabelle Comes Home, or maybe it was. I think those were the same year. So and the maybe I'm wrong, but I'm getting my years mixed up. However, you could tell that that was like the haunted wedding dress, which turned women into kind of a banshee, a wailing banshee, was another way that they wanted to go with it, but they haven't. So I wonder if they never will, or because I mean, the Curse of La Llorona was like that's I think widely considered the worst, the least impressive movie of the Conjuring films. And I think that they may have just abandoned that altogether. But I don't know. Maybe they could have plans for it. But why would you want to touch on something that a movie that wasn't very popular to begin with?
So
So
there was the first Conjuring is in 2013.
yeah,
Annabelle was 14. Conjuring 2 is 16. Second Annabelle movie is in 17. The Nun's in 18. The third Annabelle movie is in 19. And then the next Conjuring's in 21. Nun 2's in 23. And Conjuring Last Rites is this year, obviously.
I just did this list.
No, it's just that's the order that the movies came out, and that doesn't include the La Llorona in them. So I mean, that's basically a movie every 18 months,
It is
like
very marvelous.
even through like COVID. The longest gap is 2 years, and that just encapsulates all of 2020. So I mean, that's fairly impressive, honestly. Just keep pumping them out, and
What
it's
about you,
been
Chris?
James Wan all the way through.
Well,
Hmm.
he's one of the creative names, but the guy who directed this one, he directed a few of the others as well. And I noticed some like there's only a few directors for all 10 films. One, this guy, and someone else. There might be 4 directors. I think there's just 3, but I
Yeah.
looked at that. And so what do you say, Chris? You said the least so far.
Well, I mean, just because there's a lot said in between, can you remind me what the question is?
Just your thoughts on the Conjuring universe. So up to
Oh, so
up and
I
including
mean,
to this 10th film.
I think that I'm a sucker for when there is like a continuity line, between different films and such like that, connected universes, blah blah blah. Like even before Marvel did it, there's other like franchises that dabbled in that area. So like I like it when things have connective structures. I like long book series, trilogies, quadrilogies, and things like beyond that too. So like the Conjuring universe has always kind of spoke to me in that way. I like the whole angels demon thing on top of it all. Big fan of that. Hashtag bring back Constantine too. But like like the Conjuring specifically, I don't think it started out with this plan. I think it started out as another horror movie that was bigger than what they expected. So then the people that had a good time making it, made the next one, and then they were like, well, they just kept making them after that. I think that and it turned into something. I don't think they planned this, and I think that's kind of evident in how it does have these like sharp branches off in certain points. The Devil Made Me Do It, for example, is I think a good like it's something completely different in formula, in my opinion, from what they were like usually do. So like it's just evident that it's like, hey, what else can we tie into this? What can we do next? And I like that because they're not in this rigid structure of their own making. They go out and they do like they take chances within their own universe, and that that's what sparks creativity, and that's what shows that like they give a crap. Because if they didn't give a crap, it would just be formulaic. It would just be Annabelle 1 through 11 at this point, right? It's not that. So I like the Conjuring franchise for those reasons. I mean, are they all good movies? No. I mean, we all saw the Nun 2 and La Llorona, right? Like those are actual dumpster fires, and I'm sure they would like a shot at undoing those as well, to
Yeah,
some
those
degree.
checks still cashed, buddy.
Well, I
True.
don't. I mean, like the Nun 2. If you erase Curse La Llorona, which I think most people do, the Nun 2 is the other one that I can't. I was such a big fan of the first one, and the second one, it's
Yeah.
again, I don't understand how they like. No one in the writing room was like, "Hey, I don't know if you guys watched the movie that we made, but she literally spit Christ's blood into the face of the demon. I don't that demon's like we're done with that. Like that
I
Only
don't.
made her
powers is gone.
stronger.
Like I just don't like if that doesn't KO a demon, then nothing will that we have in this world. But
I
it's like
mean,
the second Nun, like you could have ended it as long as each of the Nun movies that took place before The Conjuring ended up with Maurice, who they called Frenchie, possessed, then it was fine because that was the only other link we had is like the Warrens showed video of trying to exorcise or excise him. What's the
Exercise. You're right.
exorcise him? The demon, like that was the guy from the first that we, when the end of the film, he's like, oh, Maurice, and we knew him as Maurice from the Conjuring films. We didn't know that he was the
Yep.
French guy in the Nun, but like that, as long as they keep ending like that with him possessed, it's fine. And they did. It's just I have like I struggle with certain things. I know I ask the same question every time. Why is the devil seen to be more powerful than God in these movies? Why is the bad more evil than the good? It doesn't make any sense. There's no balance there. Why also, and I know why people like, to me, it's like if you have a demon, especially the demon in Nun 2 who recognized that that's the girl who foiled her plans in the first place, still just toys with her. Doesn't just kill her, doesn't just break her body into a million pieces. Like I don't understand stuff like that. And I know the answer is like, well, Grayson, we got to have a movie, and sure. And
Yes.
you gotta like titillate the audience, give them something to like cover their face with in the theater. I get that, but it's in a logistical point of view, it's like that's
can
why
I
to me the Nun may not work in every
can I take
instance.
can I take a storytelling stab at your question about the whole faith in God and
Yeah,
the
please.
demons thing? So like I think it's rooted more so in the whole idea of like the angel and demon, the heaven and hell mythos, where like demons are creatures that are guilty of sin, right? Like they usually have like one or two or more of the seven deadly sins that really drive them. They're very prideful, they hunger for power, they they're malevolent, all these other things. So like yeah, they don't kill their prey right away, they play with it, they think that they're that they always have the upper hand, that the hubris is a part of the whole like the way they work. The other side of it is that like why is faith always punching up, I guess, is like a good way to put your question. But I think that's because while demons and the such they're gravitating and they're creatures of power, and they only put themselves in positions where they feel like they have the upper hand. Faith is just that. It's bound on faith. It's the idea that you believe that even though against all odds that you will come through, that your side is there for you, your God, your thing, your whatever. Like that's where the strength lies, right? So you're always going to be against an insurmountable, enemy or situation, because you have to have faith that the powers that you've aligned with are the goodly powers that will pull you through. I think that's why you have that dichotomy so often in these situations. I think to me it makes a lot of sense when you look at it through that light, because that's just the nature of the two sides of the coin that is always going to be like the underlying subject matter and like what drives both forces and like in the directions that they do that come together.
I get that. I get that, and that's the sensible answer. That's the textbook answer. I think it's hard to it's hard to relate. It's hard to convey from the page to the screen as something like this, because you just when you watch these films, you're just like, is God just is he on a coffee break? What's going on? What's he doing? Like what's he doing right now? Is he having a macchiato and he's just taking 20 years to just kind of do his thing? Like why is evil allowed to just kind of just unchecked do anything that they want? It's like that's part of the whole question I had with talking about the new the new 28 Years Later film is like, can we be smarter about how we do some of these things? Can we be smarter? Like, let's in some of these films, let's give these characters a weapon that they can use, that the demon has to like keep in check. That it's like a weird, they can, like the demon can attack, but if they have this, the demon's going to be in a bad position. Like, give me some of those moments. Give me, like, when you hold a crucifix up to the devil, and then like in the Annabelle creation film, the Anthony LaPena, the guy at the house, holds the crucifix up to the devil who's standing right in front of him, and his fingers just peel back, and you can hear his bones break, and he just dies. Like, what point is a crucifix then? Like, what's the point of a cross if it doesn't do the one thing it's supposed to do? I don't repel a demon.
I like that hard sigh. Give it to him.
You want to know why?
Sure.
Because it's fictional.
I'm sure.
I mean, come on, dude.
I get it.
Like, yeah, but that's the thing, is like, without this devolving into a theological discussion, which I will not do. It's like, this is a movie, right? And if somebody was like, well, here's my trump card, eat shit, get out of here. Like, that's not ever going to work, dude. And like, when you try to break down things, it's just like, well, why does this stuff happen? I don't know, because it's not real. Like, that's why.
I guess my point is, as a writer, like, when they're going over the draft before production, like they're trying to fine tune it and make it a little tighter, is someone's like, okay, well, you can't ever put a character in a position where he's standing in front of the devil and he's able to hold a cross up, because that you just don't put him in that situation, and no one asks questions. Then that's my thing, is like,
because the demons play by the same rules that we artificially established.
Sure, I know it's fiction and everything, but it's just, I understand that. I'm asking maybe a question that's like maybe a universe beyond what we're discussing.
You're building your own movie.
Sure,
and that's okay. And you can do that. That does not apply to the Conjuring franchise.
Fair enough. Anyway, so
when you write a horror series, you can be like, hey, because they have this, we can't do this.
Well, does that not make sense? That my request would be to
Grayson,
don't put them in a situation where they can hold a cross in front of the demon, because that will
demon don't care, bro.
It's not a trump card. The power of the faith versus the the strength of what's like opposed to it matters too. You know what I mean? It's not
sure, and I get that.
It's not a just to use a term that I know me and you're familiar with. It's not a Magic the Gathering counter spell. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what it is. It's not.
You've activated my trap card.
You have played it. You have played your demon, and I will play my crucifix. I win. Like, that's not how it works, right? Also, the Grayson Maxwell Angels and Demon movie will be over in 16 minutes flat. The priest will show up with all of his tools, and he shall win. Let it be known.
Well, it's my whole thing with the Marvel universe, is like, sometimes rules apply, sometimes they don't. It's, Annabelle's in a glass case that was blessed by a preacher, and that seems to contain Annabelle. Annabelle creation, they had Annabelle in a room that was sealed in a very small closet with pages of the Bible on the wall, contained her. But then when you put something else holy in front of her, like, it doesn't like, what rules apply and what rules don't? Are they afraid of the Bible and the holy stuff, or aren't they? Like, it's got to be one or the other. It can't be a mix of both.
Lesser ones are, powerful ones
sure,
are.
Fine. Okay.
I mean, like, it all comes down to that. You know what I mean? Like, you put a very large, boxer in the ring with a very small boxer. The smaller boxer is afraid of the larger boxer. You put a bigger boxer against the bigger boxer, and then all of a sudden that changes. That's just kind of how that goes.
You can't hurt me because I blocked your punch. Well, I'm just going to keep punching you until your arms break. So, guess what?
Sure, and I get that. But all right, before we head into the movie of the week, any other final thoughts on the
I have no final thoughts. I have no final thoughts because we're already an hour into this. Let's go.
We are. Roger, anything? All right, let's go. Let's talk about The Conjuring Last Rites. But let's do as tradition dictates.
Do we have to?
We do indeed. 56 on the tomato meter and 79 on the popcorn meter. Excuse me.
I like those scores. I think they fit very well where this movie lies.
Well, do you know the Metacritic?
The Metacritic is...
I'm going to guess it's like 40. It's like 45.
Oh, no, it's 54. 54.
Yeah, it's 54.
Okay.
For up until like 3 days ago, it was dead nuts at 50. And after I watched the movie, I was just like, that's about right. Just right smack
Well,
in the middle.
the movie does a lot of things right. It doesn't do much. It's just I have my problems with it, and
It
I'll be very
does
vocal about them
some
later.
things right.
Vera
So
Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, Mia Tomlinson, who is the actress playing their daughter Judy, who I'm sure will, if there's more films to come, she will be the one playing the daughter. Ben Hardy as Tony, which is her starts as boyfriend, then fiance, then husband, and then Rebecca Calder, Elliot Cowan for a few others. Directed by Michael Chaves, who has done a couple other The Conjuring films as well. So, first thoughts, boys and girls. What are we thinking, Roger, Chris?
well, we need to do thumbs up or
Oh,
thumbs down
we
here.
do.
So
Okay.
Chris obviously won't be doing that, but
I will announce mine after I count us down and see yours.
All right.
Okay, so thumbs up or thumbs down on The Conjuring Last Rites in 3, 2, 1. I'm a thumbs up. I'm a big
I'm a
thumbs
thumbs up.
as well.
I mean, if I know Roger hates doing like the 90-degree thing, but I would be like somewhere there. But I really had to think about it, the up or the down, for a few hours today. I really had to give it some thought. I was pretty disappointed by Conjuring Last Rites, but ultimately, I think it serves the universe that it's in. So
Okay.
that's why I want
So
to put thumbs up.
so interestingly, let's go ahead and do the usuals, and then I think a good question will be just giving it to Roger for a second and let us know why he feels the way he does, leading right into the conversation.
sure.
Well, Roger, you're the only one with thumbs down, so we've already done the
Yeah.
usual. So tell us
Well,
why thumbs
so
down.
the reason I give this movie a thumbs down is because it has the bones of what should have been a decent movie. And like this movie is pretty decent until the Warrens arrive at their house. And then like this movie is just a tonal shift, completely different than what we had got to start with. And I don't think it works, right? Because like we get very little backstory on what's actually haunting their house. All right. When the when the Warrens get there, we find out that there are at least 3 spirits in the house. Okay, we get 5 minutes of that horrific story of the guy murdering the crazy
His wife and his
lady,
wife's mom.
his wife's
Yeah.
mom, and then we get like 5 minutes of that part of the story, and then basically she goes, but there's something way worse in the attic, and all of a sudden the stuff in the basement doesn't really make sense anymore, right? Like, how are all these entities there? How are they all interacting with each other? We don't get any of that story, right? It's just all this bad shit is happening to these people, and now there's something way worse because we're here. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Like, I don't think this is the worst Conjuring movie, but it's definitely not one of the higher rated ones for me. It's it's like a half a movie. Like, there's half a movie here. And that's really how I feel about it.
No, it's. I know, Chris, you feel that there's a couple different stories running, and they couldn't narrow it down, so they just kept a bunch of story threads in and tried to do them together. It's just I don't think I don't think the mainstream Conjuring films work without the complete involvement of the Warrens. And
Sure.
like,
Well, I
however that
understand
is,
that.
however, I mean, but like this one, 2/3 of the movie, the Warrens aren't at the house. So
Yeah.
like that's I think why it suffers is, but then we also get the story of this entity when Judy's born, which is actually quite terrifying to see in a delivery room. I will
Yeah, that's
admit.
weird. Sure,
Um,
weird.
but then we get a follow up to that, and then we learn what item is like. Oh, it actually belongs to the Warrens. It's like, oh, well, gee, thanks for. But it's one of the like. That's why I hate like retrofitting some franchises with some stuff. It would have been nice if this particular piece would have been prevalent in another film, or maybe we would have seen it a few times and like, oh, that's that. Perfect. Now I've seen that 5 times now. Also, I don't think this took place in the same. Like when we go to the Warrens' house, that wasn't the same house that we've seen before, like 5 times, was it?
They may not have the set anymore.
With the
You know what I mean?
you mean like where Annabelle and stuff is?
With no, their house with like that's definitely not the same house because it's a different layout. The front door is in a different spot. I only know that because I
Well,
just watched them
the other
all.
thing is too is like now we're into the mid '80s though,
Sure.
and we've we've been with the Warrens since like the mid '60s. So we're 25, 30 years later
No, I
Yeah.
mean the
with them
Warrens'
as a
house.
family.
The Warrens'
Yeah.
house wasn't the same house that we've been to 5 or 6 times in this
Well,
franchise.
yeah,
could've
sure,
moved.
because their house. Well, not no. I mean, think about it. You could remodel your house.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was gonna say,
Or I
you
think
know,
I
moved
think
or
the
renovated.
people I think the people that they rented it from were like, "You better pay up this time," and they were like, "No." So they have different place.
Oh, you
but
mean like you mean like filmmaking?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Wise. Okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
sure, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well,
'Cause
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I said. Like, they may have lost set, you know what I mean, or had to get something different.
I've been
So
on a dozen movies where we're like, okay, well, we're gonna shoot there, but the homeowners they want another million, so we had to rewrite stuff. We have to move
yeah.
out.
So
It's
so
happened a number of times.
so we're gonna give their neighbor $500,000 instead of $1 million, and they're gonna happily take it, and
Yeah,
then they're
yeah.
gonna laugh at their neighbor for not making it $1 million cut. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
it's never that high, but you know what I mean. Like they asked
Yeah.
for
I
way
know.
too much money. But anyway, I don't know what the reason for that was, but I actually like the Warrens' house. That's a character to me in the franchise of The Conjuring, and it's kind of disappointing for it not to be there in the last movie because I don't know if it is the last, but I would assume
Okay.
it's not.
Well, Raj, let's talk about the reasons why I agree with you.
Okay.
All
I
right.
agree with you on the fact that there is a little bit too much going on in this movie. 100%, I do agree. I agree with you on that the movie's also too long and it's because of
I
how
didn't
much
even
things
mention
going
that,
on.
but this is a long movie by standard horror movies. This
Yeah.
movie's 2 hours and 11 minutes or something like
Yeah.
that.
It is hefty. It's a hefty boy. I agree with like your sentiments there. I didn't mean to call you out on the long thing. I forgot that we talked about that
No,
pre-show.
it's okay. No, here's the thing. That's a very fair thing because
Mhm.
this movie is too long.
Yeah, I agree with you on those fronts. Where I don't agree with you on is I do think we got enough background on the spirits and the demon and like how the spirits became less significant versus the demon and why they became active in the first place. I don't mind that they told a parallel story. I don't mind that we start out with the mirror demon and then it all wraps together and
Bookends to the mirror.
yeah, and its purpose is Judy, and it's that's its goal, and it's doing what it needs to do to get to that end goal from the jump, from the go, like everything is doing. So I think that's actually an okay thing. I don't think we needed Judy and the fiance story. Not as much of it as we got. We didn't need ping pong, right? Like we didn't need that. Like we didn't need that stuff. I know that they're trying to set something up and lay some groundwork in case they want to do more, maybe. But like I don't think that part of the story really served anything once we get to Act 3. So, like, I think anything you tell in Acts 1 and 2, if you're going to take the time to tell it, it should have significance in Act 3. And I don't think anything did because, when we get to Act 3, Tony, that's his name, right?
Tony.
Tony's involvement is very superficial, necessary to what they're doing, right? Like, he's one of the muscles. But, like,
Yeah, go carry
it's
that. Okay.
yeah, like that's the extent of it. It's not there. It's not Judy and Tony's bond that gets them through. It's not anything like that. He's just kind of there when it all happens, so he knows it's real. And I don't think they need to tell that middle story they did to get there. I think that everything else is fine. I don't mind it being connected in that way, but that's the part I think you can shorten. I think you can lose 25 minutes of movie by like leaving all that kind of out. Make Tony important to Judy. That's fine, and make Tony a decent dude. Cool. And
Sure.
I think that would have been the vessel that's necessary to make this thing happen.
Can
Because I
can
think I
I
think I think everything else that happens there, everything else that happens in this movie, I do like everything else that's going on.
can I do the thing that I complain about all the time real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were making this Conjuring film, same movie, mostly, okay?
Yeah.
What I would do if I was doing this movie is the whole Warren bonding with Tony all gone. Okay.
Mhm.
They all show up. We get like a 2-minute flashback of Judy and Tony getting married. Right? Like he's
Yeah.
part no, like look, he's been around, he's part of the family now.
Mhm.
He believes, you can even still have the thing where like Ed shows him like Annabelle and that kind of stuff, right? You can still have that because I think that's an important scene of like, hey, don't touch any of the shit in here. Like
Any of
it's
it.
yeah, like any of it. Don't touch it. Seriously, don't mess with it, right? Like I think you still have that scene, and then they end up in where Pittston or wherever it is.
Yeah.
They end up there together, and like he's just part of the family, Like I don't think you need any of that stuff, and it doesn't change the story at all,
Yeah.
unless you're hell bent on having the weird infinity mirror, bridal dress fitting thing where the demons like looking up her skirt or whatever. Like
It's a
unless
cool
that's
scene.
it's creepy, sure,
very predictable though too.
sure. Well, the other thing that's in the trailer, like that's part of the trailer. So, I mean, I guess you have to have those like creepy, scary money shots, I guess, but it doesn't do much for the story,
Yeah.
right?
Or,
I mean, that's the other part of this movie too, is, and I'm thankful for this. There are very little things in this movie that I found actually scary. And like, look, I know that I have mentioned this before, and I know that you guys know I don't do scary movies. Like, I don't like this stuff. It's not the movies that I would choose to watch hardly ever. And there's not much here that I found scary. And I told you guys beforehand there's a scene, and we'll talk about it as we get to that part of the movie, like with the mirror, that is pretty creepy, and I didn't like it just because it doesn't look right. um, but there's no real jump scares here, right? Or very little.
Yeah, there's
Well,
like 3 or 4.
I don't know if they're jump scare or like cut scares, where like you cut and then all of a sudden it cuts to the face of one of the demons. It's like
Yeah.
those got me, but only because like it's so unsettling, the image of that face. It's just,
I mean, there's creepiness here, like when they're at the restaurant and the hands on her arm, and Judy
I like
sees
that
it.
one. I like that.
Yeah, that's creepy, right? And legitimately fucking creepy. But I don't know. It's just this movie just doesn't light me up, man. It just doesn't do it. Go ahead, buddy.
as an extension to what you were saying is about like kind of how to engineer a movie maybe a little differently, or you would have done things a little differently, is I think I would have, what I was expecting was when he pulled out the ring, and because Vera Farmiga is such a good actress, is the look she gave him was like, "Hey, idiot, you've known her for 6 months. Maybe wait another 6 months." Like, it was not a good look, but she kind of
It's the
smiled.
mid '80s though. Like that stuff happened all the time
But
back then.
I was expecting them to say no, and then the movie to play out, and then he's going to save Judy, and then be like, okay, well, you saved her from a demon. I guess you earned our blessing. That's what I was expecting. Weird spoilers. That's not how it goes down, but that's what I was expecting. And that would have been, I mean, that's like Moviecraft 101. It's like, that's okay. If that's part of the story arc, I get it, especially with the Warrens involved. So, I mean,
So,
sure.
like, you have to go on this demon quest to wed our daughter.
Well, I mean,
like a fucking video game. Bring me the hide of the dragon, and I will allow you my daughter's hand in marriage.
Can I marry your daughter? Can you bring me 12 goats until that happens? No. But I
have 11.
The
Yay or nay?
complexity of the restaurant, which you brought up, I think is kind of, I was hoping for more, because Ed is kind of like, oh, I'll order the steak and a salad, and
Well,
come
he's
on.
just rambling to the waitress while this like demonic possession is happening.
Lorraine has always been the more important one of the two. She's always been the pull.
She's definitely the one that can see the demons. Like she's
the gifted, and we
she's the
know
gifted.
Conjuring.
Ed's the muscle, man. He's the muscle.
Well, he's the exorcist and the muscle. But in the second Conjuring film, the daughter is who points out Valek, the nun, down the hall. So the daughter, I mean, and she's the focal point of Annabelle Comes Home. Her and the babysitter, Madison Iceman, and her friend are like, they're running around the house because things got out, and it's like a haunted horror movie. It's like a haunted house movie. But so she has the sight. She can see. We've known that. So none of this is. So I don't even mind the movie opens the way that it does, and we get like, during her birth, there's a demon involved, which, like, given the Warrens, I'd expect no less. But it's the restaurant that I thought was like, okay, here we have a real great setup. We have the hand on the shoulder. We have the daughter reciting the same like nursery rhyme that she does to like make the world go back to the way she wants it, and the mom sees it. This is when we talked. We know we talked on a recent episode about how like one conversation can change a whole movie, and
Sure.
the mom wasn't like, "Hey, I saw a hand. Was that a hand on your shoulder?" And she's been like, "Yeah, there's people all around me. I'm crazy." Like, why? Why do writers continually do this?
Well, I'll take it a step further. This is why I think the whole Judy and Tony thing should have been kind of like annexed out for something simpler. It's because like the entire story is like their whole thing between Judy and mom is solved if Judy just tells mom.
Exactly.
Like that's
Exactly.
all. That's
Yeah.
all it takes. That's all it takes. And like,
Why would
and
you
like,
lie to your psychic
and like,
mother?
well, right? Because everything up until they get to the house in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania together.
Pittston, not
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
Pittston. Yeah, up until they get to that point, I was okay with like the dialogue and the way things were going. But when she's looking at her boyfriend, at her now fiance, and says, "I can't tell my mom. She's been so worried." That's the cop out writer
Yeah,
line
of course.
for everything that you need to have happen in your movie, and you can't figure out how to make it happen. And
Sure.
like that's like one of the few only pieces of actual like bad identifiable dialogue to me. There's some not needed dialogue, but like that's like bad writing, right? That's like I can't tell my mom because, and like now the movie can happen more. Thanks. Like
I can't
I
tell my
hated that
mom
line.
we're in my room. Do you want to make out? Because like that's how that scene unfolds. Remember that?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
That's how it went
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
like
Were you,
like I
were you
like
guys? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just say one conversation, like one fucking honest conversation between Judy and mom, and we don't have to have like 10, 20 other minutes of movie that is unnecessary in this film.
That's
So
my
like yeah,
point.
that bothered me.
That's my point. Like, but that's such a anyone who watched The Conjuring Last Rites would know that. Like, they're like that's the common thread that we all million of us who have seen that this weekend, or all 5 million, whatever. Like, we all like, yeah, one conversation between. Because it's not like they're estranged or they don't talk. They're very
No.
close, Judy and her
Yeah.
mom. So it's again, it doesn't make any why Judy would choose to hold that little piece of information back when her mom kind of already knows it anyway. Is
Well, I'm just as mad at Lorraine for not calling her daughter out on her shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's she could also just be like, hey, hey.
I know we got a lot going on, but pretty sure I saw a demon with you at dinner. So you want to talk
Yeah.
about that, or
I mean, hey, listen, this house you went to
does Tony know?
this house you went to on a whim, super powerful demon here that really just wants to gobble you up specifically. So you're playing into its hand. We're gonna go, and we're gonna let Dad handle things.
Yeah, we're gonna meet you there, and Dad's pissed. I just want to let you know.
he's not.
It's
He's
not
really
gonna be
disappointed.
good.
Yeah,
He's not mad. He's just disappointed.
that's the point. The thing. The family aspect is what suffers here, only because I don't think they knew how to write it. I don't think they knew how to incorporate the family aspect in with the Conjuring movie that they needed to make. You know what I mean?
Well,
Does that make sense?
Up until this point, though, like we didn't really have to have Judy as an adult doing like super complex things. You know what I mean?
No, we
Yeah.
didn't.
What's the one that? What is? It's one of. Is it Annabelle? The second Annabelle movie, the color whatever, where they have like the ferryman like walking through
No,
their kitchen.
that's Annabelle Comes Home. That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
when
and
when
like
the Warrens are gone and she's at home with the babysitter.
yeah,
And
yeah. Like, we didn't need her Judy to be like, "Mom, I think there's a demon here." It was just like, "Holy shit, there's just a demon here." You know what I mean? Like that was the level of Judy's involvement. And now that Judy's grown up, we need her to like be part of this family, to be, like Ghostbuster, like the joke that they make in the college or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we need Ghostbuster Judy, and she's not really that person yet. And I don't know if that's her fault or the writer's fault or whatever. They just don't do a good job of making Judy like an actual grown up with like grown up responsibilities of being able to deal with demons and stuff.
well,
Yeah.
And
if I could, whenever you're done, Roger.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna. So another thing that they keep they say a couple of times, and it's more than a couple of times. It's like in 5 or 6 of the movies with the Warrens is. I think every movie except the Nuns, because they're not in the Nun movies, but it's they found each other when they were young, and only they believed each other. Like, everyone thought Lorraine was crazy as a kid, everyone thought Ed was crazy, and they found each other, and that's what made their connection so special. They believed each other. Is
Find
again,
someone who match your crazy, baby.
that's
Get
what I
it.
thought was, if you have the daughter who's kind of slipping further and further and unable to deal with this world that her mom has kind of figured out, got a couple of years on her, she's figured it out, but this boy he didn't think it was crazy, and he's still pursuing her. Like, to me, it's like the complexity of the courtship is what should have been part of this movie, and it wasn't. That's, I think, part of the problem here is Tony's kind of he's a good dude. He's just kind of a dim bulb when it comes to characters. He does, like, there's nothing that makes him stand out to me like Ed did to Lorraine when they were younger, if that makes sense.
Should have been the first time she does something super weird to be like, is it always like this here? Yeah,
Well,
sort of.
that's the
All right, man, I
implied
think I'm
joke.
gonna leave.
I'm a bounce.
I'm
I'm a bounce. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and bounce.
Um,
Good luck to you and your family with the demon thing. Like, cool.
I hate
Like,
to
we're good.
I hate to say some of these things were a disappointment to me, but I expected a more complex script because I looked at the cast list, which, kind of cheating, but I knew we were dealing with the boyfriend, the daughter grown up, the Warrens. I knew we were dealing with these certain elements that needed to come together in a cohesive script. I thought it was going to be in a more sophisticated way. And I'm holding that against the movie because I expected it when we've gotten it in the past. So why wouldn't you expect it? That's what doesn't make sense to me is the Conjuring movies have always been like the mainstream Conjuring films have always been pretty good. Even The Devil Made Me Do It, like Chris talked about earlier, it did something different. It was a court case in which they tried to prove that this kid who stabbed his boss because he thought it was a demon coming after him, well, he did it because he was possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
Turns out when you're possessed, you do bad things.
Weird stuff.
But then they couldn't get him off, and it said he was in jail for like another 20 years. And then you saw people from like the real 80s, like the real, talking about the same court case of, well, if we can't possibly let this kid get off because then anyone can say anything and say the devil made me do it. And then, that's so like it's an interesting dichotomy there that didn't come into this movie, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I said the same thing like 4 times.
Well, no.
Is it my fault for expecting it, or am I being too harsh on Last Rites?
You can want a better movie. That's fair.
Okay. That's not a bad point to make, Raj, but like I'd like to say that I feel like I got the opposite effect of what you guys are getting. It feels like I feel like I watched a movie too long or not, and I feel like I was on this really nice ride of watching something come to a close that a bunch of people made that really enjoyed themselves. Like, this movie doesn't feel like bad at any point. There are bad things in it. There's some bad decisions like made writing wise and like, by characters. But like the whole way through start to finish, this thing feels very polished. It feels very wrapped up in a bow. It feels very much like everything that went into what they did is like, there was like at least some thought and purpose behind it. It wasn't like the random horror movie trope of like, well, we need a kill here or we need a scream here, blah blah blah.
Okay.
It was like I
Sure.
felt like we were getting like a something that someone cared about. Like, people that gave a shit about this film made this movie, and I felt like I could feel that as like the movie came to its last like 20 like 10 15 20 minutes. The big climactic ending in Act 3 all the way to like, the wedding and the outro. I was like, this is kind of nice. Like, I never thought I'd say that in a Conjuring movie, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
that's what I felt.
get that. Well, let me ask a quick question, right? Because I think I know the answer, but I'll ask anyway. So, the way you put that, then you feel like this is the end of the Conjuring franchise, right?
I feel like no. Well, I mean, our discussion earlier, I don't think it is
Mhm.
the ending, but I think like I felt like when they made this, that was a possible route that this was going. It made money.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, but like
Sure.
I feel like like you said, Ed and Lorraine's chapter's closed. It is like what
Okay.
the
Yeah.
intent
Okay.
is here.
Sure.
So like
Yeah.
I think they put a lot of care into that. And I think I felt that through the screen, which is not something I always like I can always like pick up on.
I don't. I mean, not for the same reasons, but the same reason even 5 years ago, I was like, are you serious? You're going to make the bet we're not going to see Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in Iron Man again, which we've seen from the newest Doomsday trailer that, well, he is Iron Man and Tony Stark again in the Iron Man suit. There's
Wait,
no way
what?
this is the end of.
Hold on. What did you just say about Iron Man?
Isn't he playing isn't he playing Doom and there's a I thought I saw a clip where he comes through as Iron Man as Stark and it's Tony
There's
Downey Jr.
anything you watch
Okay, maybe I'm
there's
wrong.
no clip.
Maybe
There's
I'm
no
wrong.
clips.
Anyway, I would still make that bet. However, going back to Conjuring is do you think they're going to let it sit? Is there a Conjuring movie without Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson? Is there?
might
What if they're in a much smaller capacity?
Yeah, they might be at their kitchen table while Judy and Tony are getting ready to go out. You know what I mean?
Well,
Do
maybe,
their
but
thing.
I don't think they're going to take us this far and scare us with Ed's heart things and then not write that into a movie and let us.
Well,
I mean,
goddamn, you want to see Ed die on screen?
I do. As soon as I
Bro.
said it, I'm like,
Bro.
They said Ed lives to like 72 or something. Like, what do you mean?
He has a stroke, and then she takes care of him for like 5 years before he finally dies.
They can't scare us when he's not 72 yet.
You want to watch Ed sit through the last days in hospice? That's sick.
Jesus.
Sick.
No, I'm not.
God damn.
My point is,
Watch it like Suncoast all over again.
All right,
Eat your applesauce, dearie.
We go back.
I love you, Ed.
We would have sworn that I would have sworn I saw that clip for that. Anyway, it's
You did not.
You
did not.
I don't think that if we given that we know what happens to Ed, if in the next movie they're dealing with the demon and for some reason during like the last exorcism he's given next in his heart, like I don't know how it's going to go, but I would like, okay, Ed dies to heart complications. I'm fine with that. I don't need to see him in his bed. I know how it's
going to go though. It's the prequel issue. I know he makes it to 72 years old.
Oh, sure. That's but they've said that now for a couple of the ending credits the screen crawls have said that they both make it to pretty decent issues.
Well, yeah, which is why
are we ever worried about this?
I wasn't. It's weird. It's like when the demon touched his heart in this movie, and he was like, "Oh, my heart," and fall down and looking for an aspirin. I wasn't like, oh, "I hope Ed doesn't die here." I was wondering when he was going to get up and do Ed things because he lives to 72. Like, I don't understand.
I don't think there's a Conjuring film without Ed and Lorraine Warren played by the characters that they're playing. I just don't think it exists. I don't think they want to do it. I think they're going to find out if they do it. The very low box office return.
They'll be Easter egg status at best, in my opinion.
I just want you to know that Ed lives until 2006, so we can get like a 1999 era Ed Warren.
Oh, a
Y2K fucking spirit.
Heck yeah!
Yeah, hell yeah, we can.
The demon, the 2000 demon, yeah, baby.
Yes, scared of the future, son.
I don't know. I kind of like that it kind of stays in the 80s and prior because I just think life gets complicated for paranormal seekers. The more technology you get, because you can debunk almost everything that they do with technology. So when it comes to The Conjuring and Ed and Lorraine Warren, is like you can't. Where do you stop it? It's funny because like before you signed on, Chris, today, Roger, we were talking about the box office number, and he was reading a lot of the other box office numbers, and they're not tiny, but they're also not gargantuan like 83
million.
They're
not anywhere close to this, yeah.
So if this one had done, I would agree that this might be the last film if this one had opened up to like a $45 million opening.
It still would have been a solid opening, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. True. But I think they're looking at these numbers now and being like, we might hit $300 million on this puppy for 6 weeks of a run. Do we want to make another one? I mean, what do we do? Because, I mean, Annabelle's done. The Nun, Valek has played out. The cursed dress, the La Llorona, that never went anywhere. So like, what do you introduce something new for a possible movie?
If you go Judy and Tony, I could see it continuing with like minimal things with Vera and Patrick Wilson being part of it, right? Like they can have like small parts, but it doesn't have to be them ghost hunting or whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? That makes sense, right?
Yeah. That's what I think will happen.
I could see that happening, sure.
Well, for story beats, we already know that the two they are married for a while. They have a kid. The Warrens have a grandkid. Like we already have seen these things in a vision that Lorraine had. So I expect these. If there's going to be more movies, these have to be story beats, right?
Yeah.
Or do we leave them to the vision so they happened and that's it?
I think
Judy Warren is still kicking. She's 79 years old.
Yeah,
and she's on Instagram.
I think all that stuff happens off screen, and I think they just do more Conjuring movies. I don't think we need to overcomplicate this.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but a lot of these are pretty overcomplicated to begin with. So,
I don't know about all that.
well, the some of the lore they get into, and it's like I can't. In my mind, I keep going back to like, why do you have the main character, because they're both alive at the same time. The woman who plays, I forget the girl's name. Sister Irene in the Nun, and the Nun 2 is, because her and Lorraine are both alive. There's a lot of I went kind of down like a Reddit rabbit hole. There's a lot of theories from people that I don't think hold up because the movies don't support them, but that is Sister Irene. That Lorraine is Sister Irene, and her run in with Valek like scared her out of Europe and over to the state. But like, I just, they've never
Because
mentioned it
there are
since.
no ghosts in America.
Well,
True.
but my point is, like, I mean, that the movies don't support that, and like that's the last glaring connection that they need. I thought they were going to do something about this in this one. I for sure thought they were going to do something, but that's the last connection that they need to sew up for me. But they're not making this for me. But you know what I mean? Is like, that's, they need to
Tony
somehow
is also
respond
on
to that.
Instagram, by the way.
Oh,
Nice.
good. I'm glad. I'm sure their kids are too, but
God damn it.
I don't know. Well, what other questions, concerns, or accolades do you guys want to give the movie?
I mean, I don't have my, like, I don't want to spoil this movie because, like, look, if you like I'll break it down to you. If you like the Conjuring movies, the Annabelle movies, and the Nun movies, you will probably like this movie. I am just making my spin and saying, like, this is one of the weaker ones for me on that. Doesn't exactly find it scary, and the story is soft. But if you've been on board the whole ride, all other 9, 10, 11 movies or whatever it is, this is going to be right up your alley, right? Like, there's nothing here that would be like, oh my god, this is the worst take of the Conjuring franchise. It's not. The Nun 2 is probably that. So,
La Rona is the worst one.
Yeah, it's without a doubt. But
I mean, okay, look, dude, you're splitting hairs over the
I don't
two
know.
shittiest movies in the franchise.
The Nun 2 is best picture quality compared to The Curse of La Llorona. It's just,
Look, you're just mad because you didn't bless your own pool.
yeah, okay, fair.
Fair.
I
Fair.
am. I don't. That's the thing, is connected universes are cool, and I like the fact that they're doing it. I think, for example, like Marvel is seeing diminishing returns. I think some of these franchises that go on and on and on and on, there's some evidence that would support the fact that, okay, after you've reached a peak, maybe consider stepping away and quitting on a high note. I don't
Doesn't
know
ever
if I.
happen though, like Chris pointed out
Yeah,
earlier.
well, it's unfortunate.
Seinfeld's the only franchise that has succeeded in that venture.
I mean, how many Mission Impossible films are there?
8,
right? 8, yeah. And like that's done quite well for itself, but like I think that's kind of a different.
They didn't end up. They didn't end on their best one.
No, that you're right. They did not.
We all agree they didn't end on the best.
They didn't end on the best, the most money, none of that. So I mean,
Yep.
yeah, it's just I'll sum up my last final thoughts for this one is I expected a little more. I gave it a thumbs up. I still think it's a movie that fits directly in the Conjuring universe and without any problem. I just expected more complexity between the family unit. I'm surprised we didn't get it, if I'm being honest. I'm very surprised because the Conjuring mainline films have all been pretty well written, and this one to me is, I wouldn't say that about this one. There's a lot of great ideas with Lorraine and all that close camera work and her like turning around like, I sense something behind me. Like, it works in the Conjuring way, but it's just they needed more sophistication between the characters. But that's my final thought. So
All right, I'll give my final thoughts. These two are crazy. I think that if you like if you're a Conjuring fan, if you like the story of Ed and Lorraine, that this movie does a really good job of telling an Ed and Lorraine wrap up story, which is what this is. It shows you their very beginning, and it shows you their last, their last conjuring, their last, what is it, mission, quote unquote, whatever, and then it shows
Last rights.
rights. Yeah, it shows you their last case, and then it shows you that, like, all the way through to the end. Like, there is in the middle here. It's a tad wonky with Judy and Homeboy, but it tells a good story.
Tad is being kind.
I don't think it is. I think that we have a demon that has a bookend. It ties into their story. It does a good job of terrorizing a family of 8. That you feel for. It's got some crazy shit that goes on. It's got some typical bad horror writing somewhere in there, and then I think it wraps up in a good way. I think this is, if you like The Conjuring and you like this franchise, I think this is a good ending point for this set of characters. I like it. I thought it was good.
Cool.
And the demon throws a dog, and if you didn't hate the demon enough,
He
it throws
does
a dog.
throw a dog.
They do
forgot
have some
about
dog. Dog's okay though.
Dog's
runs
okay.
Dog runs out of the house. I think it would have been metal as hell if he would have bent that spine and snapped it in front of everybody.
Oh man.
Come on,
Listen,
man.
listen. If anyone can do it, a demon can. You know what I'm saying? You had the golden ticket to snap a
Yeah.
a
Golden
dog in
retriever,
half,
yeah.
and you
It's a
didn't
golden
do it.
retriever too, which is like America's dog.
America's
So that's really it.
in like America's steel town, and like
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, just imagine that crack. And then, that's it.
I want to see.
Fido's done.
I want to see Ed die of a heart attack on screen. Chris wants to watch a dog gets crinkled into a
Crinkle.
I just don't want to watch any more Conjuring films. So
Well, I will say that Roger, for you is
I
these are
said
actually
what I said.
these are better than a lot of the weird like Offspring horror films we get that are pretty awful. Like these are actually pretty
Sure.
good though. So
Hey.
I would imagine
I mean,
you'd
well,
want
that's
these.
fair.
October's
don't know,
almost
I get it.
October's almost here, boys.
I've watched so
Fucking
many.
remind me.
I've watched so many low budget horror lately that there some. I mean, some of them are pretty laughably bad, and that's kind of why I enjoy them. But
You watched
Yeah.
Terrifier yet?
no, okay, I will have
should
a
watch
full
those.
report. I'll have a full report for you next week. I'll watch Terrifier.
All right, cool.
Maybe the week after. We got a busy week next week.
True. There's a lot happening next week.
I don't, but that's okay.
It's okay. All right, spin us
neither-
out of here, buddy.
Neither do you, Chris. So hey, don't. Point
Yeah, you're
fingers.
right. You're
Don't point
right.
fingers. All right, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Why do you laugh, sir? Why do you laugh?
Just
All
doesn't
right.
matter.
Thanks for joining us for episode 46 of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. If you listen to this episode on an audio-only service such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Podbean, feel free to head on over to YouTube. Check us out there as well. Turn us on to doing while you're doing whatever you're doing. Hit that like and subscribe button to make sure you get all of our crazy antics. And next week, we look forward to seeing you again.
Lots of
forget-
stuff next week. Big
Lots
week
of stuff.
next week.
Big week next week. 500 movies being talked about.
Wow.
Minus 497, but 500.
Ish.
Ish.